Welcome to each of you. We're here at SSUC in South Edmonton, and wherever you're joining us from today, welcome to our online gathering of Southminster Steinhauer United Church, where we're spiritual seekers united in community. You're not alone this morning. There are many of you tuning in Edmonton, in Saskatoon, and lots of other places too. Regardless of where we are, we're building community online together this morning. And a reminder that you can reach out to us during our gathering at any time to respond, to connect, comment on our website or on the Facebook page, comment by email, or with an invitation to join us tomorrow in check-in chat at 3 p.m. that I'll talk a little bit more about a little later. Let me introduce you to who's here with me today. Of course, Nancy, my teammate, joins us this morning, along with our musicians, Pam, Janet, Dawn, Deb, and Pam. Noah and Brett are here helping to make this virtual connection possible. So hello from all of us to all of you. We have before us a beautiful mosaic of the land we call home. And perhaps you can see out a window right now to a piece of it that you're most familiar with. Many of us are gathering in Edmonton or Saskatoon areas, Treaty 6 land. Perhaps you join us from elsewhere. Regardless of where you are, it's an act of humility to recognize the sacredness of the land. As we honor the nations and people who have inhabited this place before us, let's remember that wherever we are, whatever piece of ground we can see right now, that this land has a history, a beauty, a longevity, a wisdom. Let's recognize the resilience and faithfulness, the interconnectedness of the earth, and strive in all our relationships to live up to the example that she sets. Do you have a candle with you this morning? If you do, I invite you to light it along with us as we light ours this morning. You're invited to make your own time and your own space wherever you are this morning. Oh. Do we have a match? Nope, that doesn't want to work. Oh, look at this. Thank you. We hope that you can set apart this time in your day for just you and whoever you share it with, knowing that you're connected to us here and every person who is connected together digitally as community this morning. We light this candle to connect us, to remember that the light of life is in each of us, has been in each person we've known and loved, and lives on in us and beyond us. Whenever you're in need of remembering that connection this morning, look on your candle and know that we are one, that we are here for each other, and that the light burns brightly to connect all of us together.
We all pray in so many different ways. Tears are one of the ways we pray. Sighs, another way we pray. Or those moments that take our breath away. Or those times when we are thinking of one another, holding each other in our hearts. Or those hopes that we hold out to one another for health and strength for peace, for goodness, or those prayers that are just doing what we can, the small things, the big things. When we come together with one another, we pray as a way of strengthening our intentions for the ways that we want to live in the world. And so I invite you where you are to do that with me now as we share the same words with our different voices in the places where we find ourselves. We pray to strengthen our intentions. We are more than individuals at a distance. With gratitude for who we are together, we focus on all the ways we encourage and strengthen one another. Let's celebrate courage in the face of pain. Let's be a connection for those feeling disconnected. Let's choose again to be creative in our decisions in the face of loss, anger, and change. Let's allow today to be different from any other, inspiring, growing, and deepening who we are. We affirm that each one of us is a light, warming, illuminating, and providing guidance for each other. Let our lights reveal what is vital and important to our living. May we shine as neighbors, as friends, as encouragers, as partners, learning and thriving in new ways. And may all that we do contribute to the strengthening of each of us for the good of our communities and our world. Good morning, everyone. This is a time for all ages, a time for all of us, big and small, old and young, whoever we are, wherever we are. This is a time for us to share a few moments with each other. This is a time when each of us can feel like we're not doing anything important or we're not doing very much. This is a story for each of us about when the little things become big things. It's a story about a wonderful cloud called Claudette. The book is wonderful images for us to enjoy as well. Claudette was a cloud, a very small cloud. And usually, Claudette didn't mind being smaller than the average cloud. In fact, being small had a lot of advantages. Everyone called her cute little names like, "Hi, Pipsqueak," "Hey, Shortcake," "Morning, Small Fry." And she had lots of little friends. See, like the kite up there, or the bird, or the squirrel. No matter how crowded it was, she could always find a good spot to watch the fireworks. She could sneak through tight spaces. Look at her trying to squeeze between the giraffes. She could hide in small places. There she is, between the high-rises. And she even had a little space that always made her feel cozy at night. But once in a while, all the other clouds would run off and do something big and important. "Come on, Claudette, join our cold front. We're going to make a huge storm." "Yeah, we're going to water some crops and make some mighty rivers flow." "No thanks," said Claudette. "I'll just watch from here." She could see them in the distance doing all sorts of important cloud things. This made her want to do big and important things too. She wanted to make a garden grow. She wanted to make a brook babble. She wanted to make a waterfall fall. And she thought nothing would be more fun than giving kids a day off from school. How about that, a snow day? One night, Claudette lay awake wondering what she could do that was big and important. She thought maybe she could work for the fire department. "Sorry," they said, "we just got a brand new pumper truck." Or maybe they needed some help down at the garden center. "Sorry, these plants take tons of water." And she thought about the car wash, Spiffy and a Jiffy. But they said, "Sorry, it's all done by machines." Nobody seemed to need her. Claudette was feeling a bit blue. And the next day, there was a big storm in Claudette's neighborhood. The sky got dark, the rain came down like cats and dogs, the wind blew harder than she'd ever seen wind blow before. When the storm finally stopped, Claudette realized she'd been blown far away from her neighborhood. She didn't know anyone here. And they didn't seem eager to get to know her either. But pretty soon, she was making new friends. The big clouds were saying, "Welcome to our neck of the woods, small fry." The birds, "What a cute little cumulus." "Have you seen our new pal?" "Barely," answered the bear. She was making new friends and seeing things she'd never seen before. Then she heard something she'd never heard before. Ribbit. She looked down at what was supposed to be a pond, but it was really just a puddle of mud. "What happened to your pond, Froggy?" "It dried up, and now it's more like a puddle than a pond." This gave Claudette an idea. More like a brainstorm, actually. She held her breath until she started to puff up all over, and then she turned into a nice blue-gray color. She kept growing until it looked like she was ready to burst. She shook her behind until it made a little rumbling sound. Not quite what you'd call thunder, but enough to let people know they might want to grab an umbrella. And then she did what she wanted to do for ages. She let it pour. Claudette rained on that little puddle until it grew into a big puddle. And she kept on raining until that big puddle grew into a perfect pond. As soon as she stopped, frogs of every stripe and spot came jumping into the pond. And they all let out a big thank you in unison. Ribbit. That's thank you in frog. Claudette was exhausted, but happy. Even the higher-ups were impressed. "Nice work, Cloudy." "Yay, way to water." "Prodigious precipitation, Pipsqueak." "That was some righteous rain." "We knew you had it in you." It got her thinking. I'll bet there are other big and important things a little cloud can do. And off she went. And that's the end. Or maybe that's a beginning. I want to show you a few things that children in our neighborhood are doing. And perhaps it's something you're doing in your neighborhood. Yesterday, when we went for a walk in a back alley where hardly any cars go, on every telephone pole, kids in the neighborhood had made something special and placed it there. The first telephone pole we came to, somebody had cut out a little heart and put the word smile. And the next telephone pole we came to had a little baggie attached to it. It said, the heart said, "You are loved." And the little baggie had crayons and all kinds of little crafty things in it for people to take and make their own message to put on a post. And the next post we came to said, "Be strong." And someone had made a really creative lion out of their paperwork. And then we came to another post and it said "joy," and there was a little bird and some hearts. And the kids in our neighborhood are encouraging the big kids and the little kids, the moms and dads, the adults, the grandpas and grandmas, and they're doing little things that are big things, just like Claudette.
This morning's reading is taken from Matthew 25, verses 1 to 13. The spiritual life is like 10 young women who took oil lamps and went out to greet the bridegroom. 5 were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took lamps, but no extra oil. The wise ones took jars of oil to feed their lamps. The bridegroom didn't show up when they expected him, and they all fell asleep. In the middle of the night, someone yelled out, "He's here! The bridegroom's here! Go out and greet him!" The 10 women got up and got their lamps ready. The foolish ones said to the wise ones, "Our lamps are going out. Lend us some of your oil." They answered, "There might not be enough to go around. Go buy your own." They did, but while they were out buying oil, the bridegroom arrived. When everyone who was there to greet him had gone into the wedding feast, the door was locked. Much later, the other women, the foolish ones, showed up and knocked on the door saying, "We're here. Let us in." He answered, "Do I know you? I don't think I know you." So stay alert. You have no idea when he might arrive. In this story passed down from the first century Christian tradition, may we find wisdom for our living.
In 1999, the world was dominated by conversations about the Y2K computer bug. Some of you might remember that. The worry was not because we were worried about a virus like we are today, but a different kind of virus, one wherein we thought most computer programs that only used 2 digits to indicate the year rather than 4 digits, that when they rolled over to the year 2000, it would be catastrophic. The fear was that it would destroy human societies in ways we couldn't predict. You could forgive many of us from having some angst about what would happen in the world when we were getting nonstop reports about how this and that would happen. I remember being at a church New Year's Eve event that night and then later at home with my family, and I remember watching TV and waiting for the world lights to go out. And we waited, and nothing happened. Computers didn't crash, the global markets and businesses didn't come to a screeching halt. Nothing happened. But we do worry about the state of the world. This most recent challenge that the world faces, this COVID-19 pandemic, is different than that. The threat is stretched out across days, weeks, and now we seem to be settling in for months. We don't watch one event that can be over in an evening, nor do we watch as things unfold in the course of a day like the horrors we remember on 9/11. This is a longer process. This is relying on the world's medical and research personnel for their expertise, their heroism, the work they've trained for, but now in high-risk situations. This is extended stress for them, but also for us, who, albeit are contributing with relatively easy tasks, are challenged when we're asked to change our routines, to be isolated, to spend time alone, to be confined to our homes. This challenge is different because we're faced each day with updates that, at this point anyway, are not exactly encouraging. With new cases, more deaths, reminders of the seriousness and extent of this global fight. But we can be reminded in the midst of all of this that we've evolved as a species to deal with challenges. We know struggle, both social, communal, and individual struggles, and we have within us a capacity not only to adapt, but to make what we can out of difficult circumstances. What might separate us from every other creature on the earth is that we're not just about surviving. That's not good enough for us. We're also about making meaning, maintaining connections. We're about much more than surviving. And that's why I've chosen this unique and, to be honest, strange parable of the 10 young women. Jesus tells this story of 10 young women who come to a wedding banquet with their lamps to await the groom's arrival. He speaks of 5 careless ones who don't have enough oil to keep their lamps burning, so they have to go to the market to buy more oil, and thus they miss the bridegroom. These 5 stand in contrast to the 5 wise women who have enough oil for their lamps to burn and are present for the arrival of the groom, enter the party. Now, for this parable to make sense, we have to strip it of the details of the maidens, of the bridegrooms, of the wedding feast, and simply look at the difference between the 5 who are wise and the 5 who are foolish. This story contrasts whether or not we're able to be conscious enough to stay present. This story asks us whether we're able to be aware enough to tune into the moments that matter. Whether there's light in our lamp or not, whether we have enough oil or not, where do you want to be? The details of whether you have enough oil or not are a distraction. They cause the mind to say, I don't have enough oil. I better go to the store. Is it any different than us in the last couple of weeks worried that our 5 rolls of toilet paper aren't quite enough and we better go get another stack or 2? They are a distraction from what is important. They take the focus off, whether we have oil or not, toilet paper or not. It's a distraction that takes the focus off whether we'll be able to be present enough to be where we really need to be. In the world of this metaphor, to be present for the groom isn't to be waiting for a literal person. The goal of this story is in our search for a state of being within us. The groom represents that state of consciousness that brings some peace, some calm, some measured thought to our living, and allows us to truly appreciate life, even amidst challenge. Many of us are missing out on the state of being because we're, if I can speak for myself, worried about the past and worried about the future. Maybe our conscious attention is placed overly on all the stuff that brings stress and anxiety, on the daily numbers, on the dismaying projections or the distance we feel from each other, or all the things we can't do as the little clouds that we are. And that really does feel like being locked out of a party. There's so much we wish we could be doing. If we're honest, most of the time our attention is anywhere but where we are, able to see and fully appreciate the opportunities of the moment, turning things on its head and appreciating just what it is we can do in the moment, and not all the things we can't. And so this little story, this parable, has everything to do with something that we all have the power to implement every day: raising our awareness, attuning our consciousness to the moment at hand and the opportunities that are right in front of us. It gives us the chance to stop and assign some worth to that which means the most, and training ourselves to pay attention to those things. As deep thinking and feeling people, we want to live our values each day. We're about more than surviving. We're about making meaning, growing in our awareness, doing whatever we can to build each other up and offer ourselves for the betterment of the human endeavor. And so we turn our attention to that question this week. What are we noticing that previously has slipped our awareness? Because of our current circumstances, what are we appreciating now more than ever? These are the things that we will be able to give worth to give weight to. These are the things that matter. These are the parties we don't want to miss. As a start to thinking and sharing that we might do with each other, either throughout the day or with us over the next few days, or in our call tomorrow as we check in with each other, Nancy and I have some thoughts to how we might answer that question. I'll go first, and then Nancy can share her thought. I am at home with 4 others. 4 people that are usually busy dealing with their own independent things: work, school, studying. And now we're all home together, and our house seems to be getting smaller every day. But I'm noticing something in that despite sometimes not finding a quiet place to work, I'm able to take a breath and appreciate the humor and the fun in the relationships that our 3 children have with each other. Now these 3 now young adults, in the midst of time and sometimes frustration with stepping over each other, and I've got a new appreciation for the ways that they use their light-hearted natures to endure, to adapt, and, thankfully, to keep us all smiling. Nancy, I think you've got a way you would share the answer to that question.
I'm noticing something different about where I live. As many of you know, Dawn and I live in a small hamlet about 25 minutes east of Edmonton. We've lived there for 19 years, and until the last month, I probably could only name 4 or 5 neighbors in that community that I know by face or by name. What I'm noticing is how we meet each other now. Each day we've attempted to spend an hour walking outside on the streets of our village, which are usually very empty. But now, everybody who passes another in our community, if they're driving and we're walking, we wave. If we're on our porch and someone goes by, we speak and we ask each other how we are. And the answer isn't what it usually was, "Oh, I'm busy." The answer is, "We're doing pretty well. How about you?" We're noticing each other, taking time to make eye contact with each other, taking time to exchange a few words over a safe space, taking time to come out of our anonymity and become people to one another.
We want to invite you to respond to this question too, to start a conversation at home or on the phone, to comment right now on our website or Facebook page, by emailing us, or by joining our check-in conversation tomorrow at 3 p.m. What are we noticing that previously slipped our awareness? What are we appreciating now more than ever? Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you to our crew here for making this possible, and thank you for your continued support of SSUC. Although we're not meeting in person, our community's commitment to others continues, and we're grateful for whatever ways that you can contribute during this time. If you're able to donate online at our website, fantastic. If you can drop a check off in our church mailbox or in the church office during office hours, if you can purchase grocery cards available in our office, we thank you. And for those of you who donate automatically every month and can continue that practice, we appreciate that. A special invitation to join Nancy and I tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. using your computer in a video conference conversation. To be face-to-face, to check in with each other, and to share today's questions. Visit the address on your screen now to learn more about how to join in the conversation tomorrow. That's at ssucedmonton.com/Zoom connections. Please also join us on Friday, on Good Friday, this Friday, April 10th at 7 p.m. for a brief reflective gathering. You can join that in the places that you're currently watching on our website or on Facebook. As well, that will be available to you at any time to watch in our video stream on our website. It's easy to forget how wondrous we are. And as we go from this experience together today into the rest of our days, let's remember just how strange, how lovely, how unique, and how beautiful we are. That we've seen things and we've felt things in our lives. Through our imaginations, we've seen things large and small. Let's remember and encourage ourselves with the fact that we humans have more collective brain power than ever. That we have more resources and knowledge collected by our ancestors than we've ever had. That we've created technology that performs what we cannot. We are doggedly persistent, aren't we? We just keep going. For tens of thousands of years, we survived by finding ways to trap food that was faster and fiercer than us, and we survived. We've gone to places we couldn't see and didn't know. We discovered things by sheer persistence. We've achieved things that seemed previously impossible. And so we will persist in this challenge with each other. We will find a way to survive coming changes, and we will support each other while we do it. Octavia Butler said, "Change is the one unavoidable, irresistible, ongoing reality of the universe." And we're used to it. So as we find new ways to bring a new and keener awareness to our new daily reality, we will allow that awareness to impact what's truly important in our lives. Let's give those things the worth they deserve. Let's go into this week knowing that we are people who can make a difference in how we get through this challenging time. Aware of what matters, giving weight and giving worth to what we discover. From all of us to all of you, stay connected, be well, and happy Sunday.